We've been in the customer service industry for more than 65 years combined. Amos and I created this podcast to share our thoughts on how you can navigate customer service. And while we don't always agree, and I often have to explain to Amos why he's wrong, we hope that you will be the winner based on our experiences working from the end. It's Bob Furness, and I've got with me today Amos Tanuma, and we are back and with our next session. We are glad that you've joined us today. We're gonna jump into something that's a little bit different today. We're gonna talk about the biggest thing going on in the world today. Amos, is that good with you?
Of course.
Taylor
AI,
Swift.
global warming. Okay.
No, Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift.
Right.
So I read an article recently entitled, I asked Chat GPT the top 20 lessons I can learn from Taylor Swift. And he gave the whole detail about how he asked the question. But the author asked the question, top 20 inspiring, surprising, and underrated lessons we can learn from Taylor Swift. Viral, make it viral worthy and mind-blowing examples. And there were 20 of them. And we could probably do 20 different sessions, but we won't do that. We'll do this one, maybe one more at some point if they end up back in the Super Bowl in a week. But if you watch the documentaries about Taylor, you definitely find out that she's involved in just about every aspect of her career, right?
Absolutely.
You've seen that and heard that?
Absolutely. She really is.
And she's involved in the small stuff. Like she's created this legion of, they call them Swifties. I actually identify as a Swiftie because I like her music.
Okay.
I'm not going to blame that. I'm not going to blame that on my wife, who most men blame it. Oh, I'm listening to Taylor Swift because my girlfriend listens to it. But her Swifties are loyal to her brand. So it got me to wonder if there was something that I could learn from her that had relevance to the service and the consumer aspects of our show. So what say you, Amos? Are you a Swiftie?
Well, I did spend an exorbitant amount of money. A young lady in my life made me do it. I might never find...
So you're one of those stories.
But listen, I might never financially recover from it. But it was a great show. My response, though, is if you are not a Swiftie, you should really look in the mirror and say, I'm the problem. It's me.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so it's going to be one of those shows. All right, well, the challenge has been laid. Let's see what else we can work in. So there were 20 items on the list, like I said. So I want to pick one and talk about it today. So here's the first one. Embrace change even when it's uncomfortable. So the focus is on being different, to reinvent. And I remember when Taylor Swift reinvented herself to become from a country star to a pop star. She actually debuted in 2006, and she's tried a lot of different sounds, a lot of different fashion styles and sort of personas. But I remember when she released the album 1989 and she announced that she was leaving country music. At the time, she was one of the most widely followed, widely downloaded country stars that had ever been in the female genre. And yet she said, I'm going somewhere else because I think that other place is better. And that was a surprise, man. Talking about taking a change, making a change in your life.
That was dramatic. That was dramatic and took a lot of guts, and it panned out. It could have gone the other way.
Yeah, it really could. And it made me think, remember the book, now I'm going to date myself. Remember the book, Good to Great? I still have it on my shelf.
Yeah, for sure.
They looked at about 1,400 companies and chose 18 companies they were going to talk about. And it reminded me that one of the key focuses of that book was that you've got to be able to change. You've got to be willing to change. And it reminded me of the story of Circuit City For those of you who are not old enough to remember Circuit City, they were the biggest competitor of Best Buy.
Right.
And you would go out to the store and you would look at the TV at
Big
Circuit City and
TVs.
you would
Yeah.
look at the TV at Best Buy and you would make a decision and you would bring home one or the other depending on which price was better. And Circuit City, when the internet happened, didn't really change. They faltered,
Right.
and the biggest thing that they faltered on was because they refused to change. Meanwhile, Best Buy flourished. If you
Yeah.
think about Best Buy today, Best Buy is as much a showroom
Yes.
with which you then go home and order online the items that you were looking at as it is a store that you walk in to buy. So they made their brick and mortar, they adapted their store to become different than it had been in the past. And I just saw new numbers from February. 35% of their consumer sales is an online channel. 35%. And yet
Wow.
they have only one less store in Memphis, Tennessee than they had when Circuit City closed.
That's
So
crazy.
they have adapted, and the other big thing that they did was the Geek Squad. I don't know if you've ever
I remember that. Yeah, I used
had
that.
that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I can't imagine buying an appliance today without buying it at Best Buy. And it's really because of Geek Squad,
Yeah.
because I can buy an extended warranty and I'm not messing with some warranty company. I'm not messing with Samsung or General Electric. I have all my eggs in one basket. Hey, Geek Squad, I have a problem. Come fix it. They were just out this week to fix something on my refrigerator.
That's awesome.
So much like what much the opposite of what Circuit City did, I can imagine that they wish that the road not taken looks real good now.
Oh, here we go. All right. My turn. Look, I guess I started this. One quick note item. You guys notice how Bob calls the great Taylor Swift Taylor? They're both from Tennessee. Maybe they have lunch and dinners. We might be breaking news here. My my favorite.
I hear she's currently attached.
Okay, okay. Let's start some rumors. I have my odds on how long that's gonna last. But uh I fell in love with Taylor Swift as a persona, as a force in that documentary. And there's this moment where she is arguing with her father about speaking out about issues like domestic violence, right? About abortion, really, really thorny issues. And, Taylor Swift is a business as much as she's a person. And so I'll tell you that the risk she took, I think the companies we choose to do business with, many of them have done the same thing. I'm thinking about in my personal life, I have friends and family in my life who are fiercely loyal to Ben and Jerry's ice cream on one hand. And it's because of the causes those guys support, right? They go out
Right.
and they support it
Right.
and they're a for-profit business. I have in a different way Chick-fil-A, and there's intersection between all of this, right? Who are people are fiercely supportive of Chick-fil-A, and whatever you might think of both of these brands and their values, they live it, and it shows up in the way they serve their customers. And the most important thing, like Taylor Swift, their fans reward them for it. Their fans reward them, and the fans say, you know what, I might not agree 100% with everything you do, but I like that you take a stand. I like that you're putting your voice out to support causes and people that you don't have to. Ben and Jerry gives 7.5% of all their profits to all kinds of causes. And again, they really live their brand and they take huge risk. So I think if you are a customer and a consumer listening to this show, I think continuing to support the brands that we feel are authentic to us is a good thing.
Yeah, and I remember in the documentary that she was getting pushback from her manager, from her
Oh,
father,
that,
from her
yeah,
everybody in her, basically everybody in the room who were her helpers were saying, "Don't do this." And I remember the comment was, "If I don't use my voice for what I believe in, then why do I have the voice?" And
I
so I
agree.
think companies like Ben and Jerry and Chick-fil-A and others have done the same thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So we didn't really have a debate because we're both
Well,
Swifty
I
fans.
won. I
but
won if there was,
so
you
you
know.
won if there was no debate. I get that. But we're obviously intrigued by Taylor, and if you look up on the internet, you can probably find that same article. It was an interesting article about taking the concepts of who she is as an entertainer, but also the concepts of who she is as a business, and applying them to today's world in business, and applying them to how we live our lives as consumers.
For
So,
sure.
um,
I I think look, if you're listening to this and if you cannot admire this woman, whether you're a Swiftie or not, and all I have to say to you is you need to calm down.
oh my gosh. Do you have one more for me? Do you have one more for me?
Well, on my way out, we are here to give you advice on how to navigate service. And we've said this before, but I can't tell you enough that take this opportunity and you need to take a bold stand in your customer choices, right? Cancel that bad service provider, reward the ones that are giving you good service, because it sounds like he only tolerates you, but you should be celebrated. Okay,
I
I'm going
love
to
it.
see myself out now.
I love it. I love it. I've been amused. My amusement of the day has been the amusement about her and Travis Kelsey. Uh,
Oh
uh,
gosh.
I mean, the romance and everything about it. It's on the TV every day, every moment, every show. And what really makes me laugh is the conspiracy theorists that
Yeah.
believe that it's all part of a bigger plan by the NFL to put more eyes on the NFL, and by the Democrats to get more voters to vote blue in 2024. And now, if she's capable of doing that kind of power, then that's pretty impressive.
For
But
sure.
the story's over. Why am I still? If the story's over, why am I still writing pages?
Well, okay. Well, this is a
Okay, we're
show
going to
unlike
stop with the
any other.
bad lyrics. That's enough. That's enough. It hopefully will come out as well in our voice as it did in our heads when we were planning this. I doubt that. We may just delete the whole show and move on. So if you've been listening to us today, we appreciate you being here. We hope that you enjoyed this silly episode today. We started this podcast with the idea that that Amas and I were going to have fun doing it. And over the last 3 years, we've had more fun in this 30, 45-minute time frame than any other time of my week. So thank you, Amas, for that. And thank you for listening, and follow us and leave us, well, maybe you don't want to leave a comment about this show, but leave positive comments. And we look forward to seeing you again in a week.